People say that most men love sex and most women don't. They say that most men enjoy sex while most women endure it. In some marriages, sex is used as a reward when a man behaves well. In other marriages, women have sex as one of their chores to please their husbands. We believe sex should be wanted by both men and women. We mean wanted, desired, and needed by both women and men. Today, we want to share with you the reasons why we believe married couple must have more and more sex.
Hello everyone, welcome to Mike and Christelle podcast, where family meets faith and fun. Thank you very much for sharing our podcast on social media. And we believe that every time you share, one potential family gets healthier. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast so that you don't miss any of our new episodes. Please support our passion to see families restored.
Instead of asking yourself how many times you should be having sex, maybe you should ask yourself why you should have sex in the first place.
There are many reasons why married couples have sex, but we have summarized them into three categories. We need you to listen to these podcasts until the end before you jump to conclusions.
The first reason is that God made sex for procreation. It's obvious that sex is the main way to multiply and fill the earth.
Yeah.
However, with the rise of technology, there are other ways to conceive.
Yeah. And your parents will tell you this. Your doctor will tell you this. We learn this in school. Your teacher will tell you this. Even your religious leaders will tell you this. So this is something that we all know as human beings. Sex is for procreation.
There's no news here, so let's move to the second reason.
Yeah. And the second reason is God made sex for pleasure. We believe God wants his children to enjoy sex. His married children should be enjoying sex. Now, I'm not just talking about all children of God. I'm talking about married people should enjoy sex. It is the will of God. And sex is therapeutic. There are health benefits that comes with sex, with lovemaking. You can easily find this stuff online, so we're not going to waste much time to talk about the health benefits of sex.
Unfortunately, sex for pleasure has been the only focus of the entertainment and marketing world.
Yeah. They've been using it in music videos. They've been using it in movies. They use it in advertisements. So you see it even on the road, in supermarkets, many places. They are using to sell a car. They put a naked girl or half-dressed girl. We don't know what correlation between those two things, but a sale of a car and a naked girl, that's what the entertainment and the advertisement industry has done. So sex has become more for pleasure, and that's what we see. That's what we see in the media, in entertainment industry, and
which doesn't make sense, because if sex is only for pleasure, the people become puppets who use each other and then move on from that. Yeah.
So the emphasis on sex for pleasure alone has damaged people and families. We have a broken world today because we have broken families. That's a fact. Broken families build a broken world. And we also believe that we have broken families because sex has been hijacked.
Yeah.
Because sex is not for the purpose that it was created for, and that people are just using each other however they want.
Yeah.
And we damage the world.
Yeah.
We are not puppets.
Yeah.
We are relational beings. Human beings were created to connect.
Yeah, we long for deep connection.
Deeper, even connections with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this will lead us to our third reason for sex.
Yeah.
God made sex for communion.
Communion is defined as the sharing or exchanging of intimate thoughts and feelings especially on a mental or spiritual level.
Who doesn't want this marriage?
Everyone wants this. This
Yeah.
is, I think, this is why even we should be getting married.
Yeah.
To get this deep depth in exchange of intimate thoughts and feelings. I think this is why we should be getting married, and we all want this in marriage.
Yeah. Marriage is the most intimate relationship that has ever been established.
Yes.
The Bible says, for this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united with his wife, and the two shall become one flesh.
And Paul says also, don't you know that anyone joined to a prostitute is one body with her? So we can see that sex makes people one flesh. There is this concept of two becoming one. Paul says, for scripture says, the two will become one flesh.
Lovemaking is the most intimate way of communication. When you have sex with someone, you invite them into your most vulnerable state.
Yes, most vulnerable state.
Yeah.
I think this is true because sex normally is done while people are naked. That is a vulnerable state. Naked or not naked, but you have to expose some very intimate part of yourself, and that is vulnerability. You have to make that aspect of you available to that person. And not only that, there is a vulnerability in emotions. You have to be able to express, at least for a good sex, you have to be able to express your emotions. If you are holding them back, then you are not being true to yourself. You're not being true to your spouse. You have to be able to express that. So we believe that sex is not just for pleasure, it's for communication, because I'm communicating with my spouse, with my wife, the deepest level of trust, the deepest level of love. I think it's a tool of communication. When you have sex with someone, you invite them to your most vulnerable state. The only person you should invite there is your spouse.
Yeah.
It should be your spouse only, because I believe it should be only one person who has access to that aspect of you, to that state of vulnerability. So we believe sex
just
is
like
also...
the Bible insists that is a man leaving his family to become one flesh with his wife.
Yes.
Someone
said.
Oh, I said oh. So, okay. Someone said you can be friend with your dad, you can be friend with your mom, you can be friend with your sister, with your brother. You can have many friends as you want. But the only thing that your parents or your family cannot give you is the thing that your spouse can give you. And I think there is a depth of intimacy, the depth of communication that happens in marriage that only the married people can get. And this your father, your mother should not and cannot give to you. The depth of communication that happens during sex it's so deep. It's so deep, and we need to pay attention to it. Yeah. Everyone is created with a deep desire to be loved, to be trusted, and to be wanted.
Yeah.
God designed sex as a platform where you express how deep you love each other, how deep you trust each other, and how deep you want each other.
Yes, and this is important because I want to be trusted. That's human nature. I would love to be trusted. I would love to be wanted. Who doesn't want to be wanted? We want to be desired as humans. We want to be loved, and the deepest level of desire happens in sex. So we believe that lovemaking is an expression. You are expressing to your spouse that I desire you to my deepest level. I love you to my deepest level. I trust you with my deepest level of vulnerability. So that's the communication that is happening during sex. And this is why we said it's for communion. Sex in marriage is inviting each other to the deepest level of trust, the deepest level of love and deepest level of desire. Sex in marriage satisfies the deepest level of love in both sides, on both sides. Deepest level of trust and deepest level of desire.
And the more sex you have as a couple, the deeper you allow your relationship to go.
Yes.
But it's not just about the frequency.
Yes.
It's not about the frequency of sex, but your mindset. It's more about your mindset towards sex.
Yes. And that's why we said it's not about how many times. Most people ask, if you just Google how many times you should have sex, there are hundreds. I don't want to exaggerate. There are so many articles about how many times.
Yeah.
So people ask themselves, how many times should I have sex to have a healthy marriage? That's a wrong question. That's a wrong question to start with, because you can have it twice, 3 times, 4 times, 10 times, 100 times without making any difference if you don't know why you are having it at first place. Most people have it for procreation. Most people have it for pleasure. So if you can't have it for procreation because sometimes you have stopped having babies, or maybe you can't just have babies, or you don't want to have babies, then sex is not your thing anymore. No. Maybe it's for pleasure. And this is an area where people really need to be careful. And we understand that sometimes people can be sick.
Yeah, some people can be going through some kind of sickness. There's so many seasons people go through.
Yes.
That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is the mindset you have towards sex.
Yes.
Have you thought about why you are having sex? Yes. What's your mindset about it?
Yes. And this is very important because most people's mindset today in our generation is on the pleasure side. So it's about pleasure. And that's the danger of it. Because you go into it trying to please or being pleased only. And you do everything to try to please or being pleased. And that's why it's taken now as a reward. You give it to your husband as a reward. You give it to your wife as a reward. It's not a reward. It's deeper than that. God did not create it just as a tool we can use to manipulate each other. No, we are not puppets. There is something deeper in sex that we need to begin to change our mindset. Our mindset should know that sex is more for communion. So if I know that it's for communion, the purpose of having sex changes, the numbers will be defined by that. How much communion do I want to have with my wife or with my husband? Then it will change the dynamics. It's not about 3 times per week or 4 times per week or 10 times per week. It's now about how much communion do I want? And the more you do it, the more communion you create, because as the Bible says, every time you do it, you become one. And it's proven scientifically. The more sex you have, the more communion you have. If the mindset is right, let's remember this.
It's all about the mindset, guys. All about the mindset.
All about the mindset.
It's the game changer. The right mindset about sex is the game changer.
It's enjoyed fully when it's for communion. It's really satisfying when you do sex for communion. When you do it for pleasure, it feels like you're using each other. It feels like your spouse's body is a toy for you to use to feel good. But when it's for communion, you are having it even if you are not in the mood. But you remind yourself of the purpose of it, the reason why you are having it. It changes everything. Let's remember this. Sex starts in the mind. At least good sex starts in the mind. So if your mindset changes and you tell yourself, I'm not having this just to please him. I'm not just doing this to reward him. It's not a chore. For me, as a woman or as a man, you're not telling yourself, "Oh, let's just have this," but to tick a box. To tick a box. We said 3 times a week. Okay, which day is this? Or Wednesday? It's Wednesday again. Let's have it. If that's the case, you will never enjoy it, or at least you'll never enjoy it fully. But if you tell yourself, we do it for communion, this is an expression of love between the two of us. This is the way we can invite each other to the deepest level of trust,
Yeah.
your mindset changes. You will begin to enjoy it like never before. Like it will change everything, the dynamic.
Yeah, and from a woman's perspective, woman perspective, I
bring
feel
your
like
perspective.
the right mindset is a big deal because I think it changes how you think of sex.
Yes.
And then makes even worth it. It makes the procreation
Yeah.
and not the procreation. No.
The pleasure thing.
The pleasure. It makes the pleasure
Yes.
worth it.
Yes.
You know, I think it makes more pleasure actually when you change your mindset and see sex as a form of communion. I love you. I want to commune with you. I want to connect with you.
Yes.
And it makes me feel good to connect with you, which
Yes.
means for me, I like communicating with you in that way.
Yes.
There's so many other ways, but that way is very important
Yes.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, so it changes even why you go into it, you know?
Yes.
You're not going just to have fun. Because I understand it should be fun.
Yes.
It should be fun, it should be enjoyable, and the pleasure thing is good. God created it for pleasure, so we are not saying it shouldn't. But the purpose, the why, the reason why you go into it should be, let's communicate with each other how much we love each other.
Yeah.
Let's create this platform where we are going to go into our deepest level of communication that no one else on earth
Is allowed.
to be or to communicate with me or with you.
Yeah.
And only the two of us can communicate in this way.
Yeah.
Let's do
And
it.
I think that even helps marriages. It helps marriages to come back to the meaning of marriage.
Of marriage, yes.
I think marriage now, it doesn't have so much value because I don't know, it's taken so lightly. I feel like
Yes.
that helps to, if you see
That's deep
sex
there.
that way,
That's deep.
it helps the marriage be the way God intended it to be. Yeah, so
it's the union of two people.
Yeah.
Communion of two people. That's the purpose of marriage.
Yeah.
That's really deep, babe. That's deep. Sex will help you to get there.
Yeah.
It will help you to get to the place where you become one. You become one. If you change the mindset, don't do it only for pleasure.
Yeah.
Don't do it only for procreation.
Yeah.
Do it to become one. Do
Yeah.
it to express love toward each other.
Yeah.
So that's a game changer. It is a game changer when sex is done with the right mindset. Most people ask themselves, how do I change my mindset? Or I should tell myself that I have to make my wife happy, or I have to make my husband happy.
Yeah.
That's not how to change your mindset on sex. No, that's not what will change. I have to enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, you don't just enjoy it. So don't force pleasure on you. Even if you don't feel like sex is good, because some people don't feel it. You know, some people don't feel it because of what has happened.
Yeah.
Or because of their let's say their state. Yes, something that's happening. You don't feel. The question is, what's your mindset about it? What do you believe about sex?
Yeah.
Do you believe sex is to make a man happy? Do you believe that women don't really feel good about it?
I don't.
What do you believe about it? What you believe about it will change how you feel about it. And I think it's time for us to change, for people to change what they think about sex. We believe sex is a platform to express love. If you love your husband deeply, you love your wife deeply, express it with sex. Use sex to express it. The trust and the love and the desire, express it in sex, and you'll see how it will change everything.
They say that to have good sex, everything you do in a day should lead to sex.
For example, we believe that if you have a good sex life or you have a good sex experience, it will lead to a successful day. You will feel like avoiding unnecessary conflict, avoiding. So it's like egg and chicken, as people say, which one came first. No one has been able to solve that problem. I think
If you know that, comment below.
comment and tell us what you think. We believe that good sex leads to a successful day, and a successful day leads to sex. Because for us, we try to avoid unnecessary conflict. We try to avoid our day leads to good sex, but also good sex leads to our day. You feel like it becomes natural. It becomes natural to your day to lead to a good experience, sex experience, and the sex experience leads to a successful day. And it's really helpful. It's really helpful when you take sex as communion, as a part of communion. It's not for pleasure. I find pleasure a bit selfish. I don't know. Not selfish, but it can be selfish.
It can be selfish. It can be selfish. But when you change your mindset into communion,
yes,
it makes the pleasure worth
meaningful.
Meaningful. It
yes.
makes it meaningful. Yeah.
Yes.
A good sex life paved the way for good connection in marriage. The same as a good connection lead to good sex.
Yes.
So that's we need to say that again.
Yes, please.
A good sex life paves the way to good connection in marriage.
Definitely.
The same as a good connection lead to good sex.
Yes, that's really true.
Yeah.
We understand that sometimes it's hard to maintain a positive sexual atmosphere. It's hard sometimes to maintain it in your marriage. Things happen. But you need to be intentional about maintaining that atmosphere in your marriage. You need to be intentional about it. Try to avoid things that make you not wanting sex. Try to avoid those things. Maybe it's working overtime, maybe having unnecessary arguments, maybe, I don't know. This is depend on each couple, but we have tried to really remove things in our life that were standing between ourselves and our sex life. And successfully, we realized that our sex life, our good sex life made our successful connection, gave us a successful connection in life, in normal everyday, and our successful connection gave us a good sex life. So it's something you need to be intentional about.
And some of the things that we understand, like for example, for new moms,
yes,
we don't want them to feel like, oh my God, no, new mom. When you have small children, when you have an illness.
Yes.
Those are not the case. Those are the case that we're not talking about.
No.
We understand all that. All the challenges we understand.
We've been there. We have children. We've been through sicknesses. We've been through so many things that we're not saying that you have to have sex.
Yeah, but we're saying that you need to work on your mindset.
Yes.
Change your mindset toward sex and see it as a communion, which will make the pleasure worth it. I feel like it will make the pleasure meaningful. Yes, and that's it, babe. I think you've summarized it well there. If you change your mindset to be sex, to have sex for communion, to build up your relationship, the two of you, it will make your relationship better. And we are not saying if you have conflict and you have sex, conflict will go away. That is another conversation. No, conflict it stems from some, there's something boiling under way back that needs to be taken care of.
Solve your conflict if you can. But what we are saying here is, if you change your mindset toward sex, we'll talk about conflict resolution in a different video, in a different episode. But today we are talking about couples which are asking themselves, why should we have sex? Or why do people have sex? Or how many times should we have sex? Or, if you have those questions, maybe you are preparing your marriage to get your wedding, or you are married already, but you don't know what to do with this question. You've been talking about it. We are giving you answers here. Pleasure is being promoted everywhere. But don't take sex for pleasure. It's not just for fun. It's not just for fun. It's a serious thing. Don't be serious in it. But it really helps you.
It's very meaningful. Important. It's very important. It's meaningful. It has lots and lots of values.
Yes.
In the marriage.
Yes.
And
in a different video, we'll talk about why it shouldn't be done outside of marriage. In a different episode, we'll talk about why sex is really dangerous outside of marriage. And this is one of the reasons, because it's for communion. It makes you one it's really dangerous when it happens outside of the boundaries of marriage.
Yeah.
And we are going to talk about more details. We're going to give you more details about this in the end, a different episode.
Yeah.
But for now, we are really encouraging you to rethink the why of sex as a couple.
Yeah.
We believe it's not just for men to feel good. It's not just for women to please their husbands. It's not just for that. It is deeper than that. When you consider sex for communion and communication of deepest emotions, it changes everything. It changes even why. It changes even the way and how many times you do it. If you make of your sex life a priority as a couple, you will even learn to forgive each other before things get worse. You will learn to communicate quicker and better to avoid interference in your sex life. You will learn to plan your days better to avoid interferences.
Everything runs around sex, and sex runs around everything.
Yes.
Couples should be intentional about their sex life.
Yeah.
The reason why some women don't enjoy sex is because they see it as a chore.
Yeah.
If you don't enjoy it, maybe it's because you don't know why you're having it.
Yeah.
And if you change your mindset from having sex for pleasure or procreation to having sex for communion, it may change the way you feel about it.
That's true.
If you begin to have sex as a way to express trust, love, maybe it will change how you feel about it.
Yeah.
If you begin to have sex as a way to invite your spouse to share the most intimate state, maybe you will start enjoying it.
Yeah. If you begin to have sex as the means and not the end, maybe you will start enjoying it. And by that we mean, do not just tick boxes. Have sex to build a deeper communion and not just to fulfill a task. Just make sure you have it. You have it for communion. We believe that it's not always the same, but all those experiences are good for marriage. So for us, even if you don't feel the same thing all the time, it's still good. It's still building communion. So have it with a purpose. Have it with the why. The why is building communion. Yeah. Have it as many times as you want. As many times as you can. Don't ask yourself how many times is healthy. We would say as many times as you can as a couple. That fulfills you to build that communion. Some people say the minimum of 3 times per week. We don't say that. We just tell you as many times as you can. More is better. More is better.
The more, the better.
This is the question of the day. Is there anything that husbands should do to help their wives respond better to sex? If you have any thoughts, please comment and let us know what you think.
Yeah.
If you think men should do something to help women or their wives to respond better.
And also, if you have another question, you can just comment below as well, or inbox us at Mike and Christelle on Instagram and Facebook. Remember, we believe that when family is healthy, the nation is healthy. Bye.
See you next time.
See you next time.